This is the Troll Patrol. Live. With Justin FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol. Live. Starting a little early tonight. And to answer your question, Jason Creed, can you not see the title of this video on whatever platform you're on the Twitch? Can you not see the title? We are here early for a Joe Biden speech. Another day, more bullshit that I am not high enough for. We are awaiting President-elect Joe Biden, who will be announcing his economic and coronavirus recovery plan. Already making news because he has gone back on his promise of $2,000 checks. He is expected to announce here in just moments that he is proposing $1,400 checks. To which I say that is a horrible thing to do. This is horrible politics on the part of the Democrats. Already I have seen right-wingers calling him a liar as if they weren't going to already. All right. President-elect Joe Biden.
My fellow Americans, it's been 343 days since the virus that has ravaged our nation tragically claimed its first life. On February the 6th in 2020, Patricia Dowd took her last breath at home under the California sun in Santa Clara. She was 57 years old, a beloved wife, mother, daughter, sister. She never knew she had.
This time next week, this man will be your president.
About the virus.
Unfortunately.
Just like that, she was gone. And almost exactly 1 year later, nearly 400,000 of our fellow Americans have met the same cruel fate.
It should have been Bernie.
Countless families.
Bernie wouldn't come out here with some stupid ass platitude with some story. With all due respect to the lady that he's talking about,
and the emptiness.
Bernie would come out right out here and get down to business.
Compounded by the loss of our way of life. During this pandemic, millions of Americans, through no fault of their own, have lost the dignity and respect that comes with a job and a paycheck.
But Jason Creed,
never thought they'd be out of work. Many of them.
If you would like to see
are facing
someone attempt to storm the Capitol, I suggest you tune in this coming Wednesday
families as they drive up to a food bank.
As the Troll Patrol live streams the inauguration of Joseph R. Biden.
Hours and paychecks reduced, barely hanging on as well. That's happening today in the United States of America. Just as in the midst of the dark winter of this pandemic, as cases, hospitalizations, and
repping Bernie tonight, actually.
Spiked at record levels, there is real pain overwhelming the real economy. One where people rely on paychecks, not their investments, to pay for their bills and their meals and their children's needs. You won't see this pain if your scorecard is how things are going on Wall Street. But
you had a good little rhyme scheme going on there. If he'd said like laughing seals after that.
The crises of a pandemic and this sinking economy have laid bare. The growing divide between those few people at the very top who are doing quite well in this economy and the rest of America. Just since this pandemic began, the wealth of the top 1% of the nation has grown roughly $1.5 trillion since the end of last year. 4 times the amount for the entire bottom 50% of American wage earners.
I have no clue how long he's been out there. I feel like I let him out a long time ago.
Relying on unemployment insurance. Some 400,000 small businesses have permanently closed their doors. And it's not hard to see that we're in the middle of the once-in-several-generations economic crisis with a once-in-several-generations public health crisis. The crisis of deep human suffering is in plain sight, and there's no time to waste. We have to act, and we have to act now. This is what economists are telling us. More importantly,
You ain't got no power for
here
like
in our hearts as Americans are telling us.
5
The
days.
chorus of top economists agree that the moment of crisis,
18
in this
hours
moment
or
of
some
crisis,
shit like that.
with interest rates at historic lows, we cannot afford inaction. It's not just that smart fiscal investments, including deficit spending, are more urgent than ever. It's that the return on these investments in jobs, racial equity, will prevent long-term economic damage, and the benefits will surpass the cost. A growing number of top economists has shown even our debt situation will be more stable, not less stable, if we seize this moment with vision and purpose. And so tonight,
Like Medicare for
I'd
all.
like to talk to you about our
Or
way
student
forward.
loan forgiveness.
A two-step plan of rescue and recovery. A two-step plan to build a bridge to the other side of the crisis we face to a better, stronger, more secure America. Tonight, I'll lay out my first step, the American Rescue Plan, that will tackle the pandemic and get direct financial assistance and relief to Americans who need it the most.
How much you gonna give us?
Next month,
How much you gonna give us, Joe?
my first appearance before a joint session of Congress, I will lay out my Build Back Better recovery plan. It'll make historic investments in infrastructure, that Build Back Better plan. Infrastructure, manufacturing, innovation, research and development, and clean energy. Investments in a caregiving economy and in skills and training needed by our workers to be able to compete and win in the global economy of the coming years. Moody's, an independent Wall Street firm, said my approach will create more than 18 million good-paying jobs. Our rescue and recovery plan is a path forward with both seriousness of purpose and a clear plan, with transparency and accountability, with a call for unity that is equally necessary.
I like that accountability. Let's focus on that.
Dream. It's a
We got some people to
practical
hold accountable, don't we,
getting the
Joe?
things we have to get done as a country get done together. As I said when it passed in December, the bipartisan COVID-19 relief package was a very important first step. And I'm grateful for the Democrats, Republicans, and independent members of Congress who came together to get it done. But I said at the time, it's just a down payment. We need more action, more bipartisanship, and we need to move quickly. We need to move fast. Our rescue plan starts aggressively.
I know something we got bipartisan agreement on, and that is the impeachment of Donald Trump.
Vaccines offer so much hope, and we're grateful to the scientists and researchers and everyone who participated in the clinical trial.
Oh, well, look at you, Alan. Thanks for joining us.
Rigorous review and testing.
Stick around. I'd love it if you called in.
People around the world already being vaccinated safely. But the vaccine rollout in the United States has been a dismal
I'd like to
failure
talk
thus
to you,
far.
sir.
Tomorrow, I will lay out our vaccination plan to correct course and meet our goal of 100 million shots at the end of my first 100 days as president. This will be one of the most challenging operational efforts we have ever undertaken as a nation.
You got to kick it into high gear just as soon as you get in there next week.
To get more people vaccinated,
Gaga.
to create more places for
Gaga.
them to get vaccinated, to mobilize more medical teams to get shots in people's arms, to increase vaccine supply, and to get it out the door as fast as possible. We'll also do everything we can to keep our educators and students safe, to safely reopen a majority of our K through 8 schools by the end of the first 100 days. We can do this if we give the school districts, the schools themselves, the communities, the states, the clear guidance they need, as well as the resources they need that they can't afford right now because of the economic dilemma they're in. That means more testing and transportation, additional cleaning and sanitizing services in those schools, protective equipment and ventilation systems in those schools. We need to make sure that workers who have COVID-19 symptoms are quarantined, and those who need to take care of their family members with COVID-19 symptoms should be able to stay home from work and still get paid.
Makes
Reduce the
sense.
spread of the virus and make sure workers get the support they need to maintain their families. But we need about $400 billion in funding from Congress to make all of what I just said happen. It's a great deal, but I'm convinced
That is a lowball number compared
the
to
very health of
the
our
other
nation
bills that
is
we've
at
seen.
stake. Our rescue plan also includes immediate relief to Americans.
The bill in the spring was like 1.4 trillion.
We will finish the job of getting a total of $2,000 in cash.
The one they just
people
agreed
who
to
need it the most.
was 900
$600
billion.
already appropriated is simply not enough. You just have to choose between paying rent and putting food on the table.
Do you know how much rent
Even for those
is?
with other jobs, these checks are really important. You see, if you're an American worker making $40,000 a year with less than $400 in savings, maybe you've lost hours, or maybe you're doing fewer shifts, driving a truck or caring for the kids. Or
Less than $400 in savings?
Putting your life on the line to work during this pandemic and worried every week that you get
Aren't you glad for boring though at this time?
$2,000 is going to go a long way to ease that pain.
But see, that's another reason Bernie wouldn't have been boring.
Families by extending unemployment insurance beyond the end of March for millions of workers. That means that 18 million Americans currently relying on unemployment benefits while they look for work can count on these checks continuing to be there.
Well, the big show won't be boring. Just as soon as Biden wraps up, we'll get to it.
So people can make ends meet. This gets money quickly into the pockets of millions of Americans.
I believe he said he wanted to up
spending
unemployment
on
to
food, rent,
$400
and other basic needs.
plus up.
As the economists tell us, that helps the whole economy
Currently
grow.
at a $300 plus
We'll
up.
also tackle the growing hunger crisis in America. As I speak, and the Vice President-elect has spoken to this many times, 1 in 7 households in America, more than 1 in 5 Black and Latino households in America, report they don't have enough food to eat. This includes 30 million adults and as many as 12 million children. It's wrong. It's tragic. It's unnecessary. It's unacceptable. So we're going to extend emergency nutritional assistance for 43
Also,
children and
this
their
is
families
Joe
enrolled in the SNAP
Biden.
program.
Like, he's just under a shit ton of pressure right now.
Help hard-hit
After he's
restaurants
getting in there and been in there for a little bit, like, Joe Biden's not boring.
families who need it.
He is a gaff
We'll
machine.
invest $3 billion in making sure mothers and their young children have the nutrition they need. This will not only meet our moral obligation we have to one another, but will also spur our economic growth, get restaurants and workers back on the job. And as we work to keep people from going hungry,
What will the memes look like for the next 4 years?
to stem the growing housing crisis and evictions that are looming. Approximately 14 million Americans have fallen behind on rent, many at risk of eviction. If we don't act now, there'll be a wave of evictions and foreclosures in the coming months.
There already has been a wave of evictions.
This would overwhelm emergency shelters, increase COVID-19 infections as people have nowhere to go and can't socially distance. Next week, we'll take action to extend nationwide restrictions on evictions and foreclosures. This will provide more than 25 million Americans
Next week will be incredibly
greater stability
interesting.
instead of living on the edge every single month. And I'm asking Congress to do
We're
its part.
probably going to get an impeachment at some time next week, whether it's the beginning of the week or the end of the week. Who knows?
It will also be a bridge to economic recovery for countless mom and pop landlords. These crises are straining the budgets of states and cities and tribal communities that are forced to consider layoff and service restrictions of the most needed workers. It means that people putting their lives at risk are the very people now at risk of losing their jobs. Police officers, firefighters, all first responders, nurses, educators.
The rumor has been that Mitch McConnell leaked that statement
100,000 educators
as a way to try to get Trump to resign,
have lost their
so
jobs.
they didn't have to go through
Cities and
impeachment.
towns.
I mean, Trump isn't going to resign. They're
Rescue
going to have to
plan
drag him
will
out of
provide
there.
emergency funding to keep these essential workers on the job and maintain essential services. It will ensure that vaccines are administered and schools can reopen. Vice President-elect Harris and I have been speaking with county officials, mayors, governors of both parties on a regular basis. We're ready to work with them, help them get the relief they need. Our rescue plan will also help small businesses that are the engines of our economic growth, our economy as a whole. The glue that
But if you think this is boring, we're not finished with Trump. We've got Trump video later on in the show.
And you realize they account for nearly half of the entire total.
I will
US
satiate
workforce.
your appetite, sir.
Our rescue plan will provide flexible grants to help those hardest hit small businesses survive the pandemic, and the low-cost capital that will help entrepreneurs of all backgrounds create and maintain jobs, plus provide the essential goods and services that communities depend upon. Last week, I laid out how we'll make sure that our emergency small business relief is distributed swiftly and equitably, unlike the first time around. We're going to focus on small businesses on Main Street. We'll focus on minority-owned small businesses, women-owned small businesses, and finally having equal access to the resources they need to reopen and to rebuild. And we will be responsible with tax.
Agreed, but we've kind of got both, and Joe Biden, he can go either way.
Waste and fraud and abuse like we did in the Recovery Act that I administered in our administration. Direct cash payments, extended unemployment insurance, rent relief, food assistance, keeping essential frontline workers on the job.
But I mean, we're at a really critical inflection point right
Elements
now.
to the American Rescue Plan that would lift 12 million Americans out of poverty.
So he's going to be on his best behavior.
That's 5 million children lifted out of poverty if we move.
Once he's been in office a year, you know, and he's cruising a little
By
bit.
1/3, reduce poverty in the Hispanic community by almost 40%.
He gonna be some
More,
fun.
like an increase in the minimum wage to at least $15 an hour. People tell me that's going to be hard to pass. Florida just passed it. As divided as that state is, they just passed it. The rest of the country is ready to move as well. It should be a national minimum wage of $15 an hour.
I mean, it's nice hearing complete sentences, is it not?
Should live below the poverty line. That's what it means if you work for less than
Instead of just one long run-on
in
sentence.
poverty. It includes access to affordable child care that will enable parents, particularly women, to get back to work. I look forward to working with members of Congress of both parties to move quickly to get the American Rescue Plan to the American people. And then we can move with equal urgency and bipartisanship to my Build Back Better recovery plan that I will call for next month to generate even more economic growth. American manufacturing was the arsenal of democracy in World War II. It will be so again. Imagine
I mean,
if
really, like, what's going through
Made
his
in
head
America.
right now?
all made in America.
Less than a week,
by
he takes the presidency.
We'll use taxpayers' dollars to rebuild America. We'll buy American products,
But we are at
supporting millions of American
a
manufacturing jobs,
critical moment.
enhancing our competitive strength in an increasingly competitive world. Imagine historic investments. in
He
research and
has
development
a tremendous
to
weight on
sharpen
his
America's
shoulders.
innovative edge in markets where global leadership is up for grabs. Markets like the battery technology, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, clean energy. Imagine confronting the climate crisis with American jobs and ingenuity leading the world. It's time to stop talking about infrastructure and to finally start building an infrastructure so we can be more competitive. millions of good-paying jobs that put Americans to work rebuilding our roads, our bridges, our ports, to make them more climate resilient, to make them faster, cheaper, cleaner.
I mean, that's good rhetoric.
Made goods across our country and around the world. That's how we compete. And imagine millions of jobs in a caregiving economy to ease the financial burden of caring for young children and aged loved ones. Let's make sure our caregivers, mostly women, women of color, immigrants, have the same pay and dignity that they deserve. So we can do these bold, practical things now. You know, I know what I just described does not come cheaply.
And honestly, he's not boring. He's not a bad speaker.
The consensus
Just in comparison to the circus that we've
not to do what
been subjected to.
Independent, respected institutions from around the world, from the Federal Reserve to the International Monetary Fund, have underscored the urgency. Even Wall Street firms have reinforced the logic.
Indeed.
If we
And honestly,
smart,
you know, I got a lot of gripes with Joe Biden, but
American workers and
you know,
families,
when it comes to disabled people, I believe like he actually cares about that issue. I've seen him
put our
interact
nation's
with.
long-term finances on the most sustainable course.
I've seen him interact
Where we're
with
making permanent
people, and like he has empathy for
investments.
people. That was
As I said in the campaign,
that's refreshing
we will
after
pay
the
for it
last
by
4
making
years.
sure that everyone pays their fair share, not punishing anybody. We can do it without punishing a single person by closing tax loopholes for companies that ship jobs overseas, or
Yeah,
to allow
yeah, he
American
does.
companies. 90
But
of the
like
top
Joe
Fortune
Biden
500
is
pay zero
more
in
fun. We're
tax.
just at a really serious moment.
Asking everyone to pay their fair share at the top, so we can make permanent investments to rescue and rebuild America.
Like this guy can be a walking joke too.
Our economy,
Like
it's the fair
we'll
thing,
get
it's the
there in the
decent
administration.
We not
We're
only
just at
have
a
an economic
really weird
burden right
time.
now, I believe we have a moral obligation in this pandemic in America.
That's why I do not envy
Cannot
him.
let people go hungry. We
Just
cannot
the weight of everything on his shoulders.
cannot watch nurses,
I wouldn't want it.
educators, and others lose their jobs. We so badly need them. We must act now and act decisively. My fellow Americans,
And I'm an
decisions we make in the
egomaniac,
next few weeks
narcissist. Like I
will
like
determine whether we
spotlight. Like I
thrive
would not want to be president,
or
not,
benefit
especially not
all
at this time. I mean, I would want to be
Stuck in
president,
a place where those at the top do great, while economic growth
not in this
everyone else
situation.
is just a spectator sport, and where American prospects dim, not brighten. These investments will determine
And
whether
honestly,
we
the only
reassert
way he was
American
able to
leadership
win
and
was because of the
outcompete our
situation that we're
competitors
in.
a global economy. We're better equipped to do this than any nation in the world. Whether we watch them catch up and pass us by. Together,
You have to flush it a couple of
I know
times.
which path we'll choose. And that includes all Americans, so we can own the 21st century. But even with all these bold steps, it's going to
And we're not out of the woods yet, ladies and gentlemen.
There will be
The
stumbles.
next few days
will
could be
always
very
be honest
interesting, especially
about both the
Wednesday.
progress we're making and what setbacks we meet. And there will, and here's the deal. The more people we vaccinate, the faster we do it, the sooner we can save lives and put this pandemic behind us and get back to our lives and our loved ones. And the sooner we can rescue and rebuild the American economy, the biggest and most profitable engine in the world. I know it's been nearly a year that tested us beyond measure.
Apparently, there are rumors
All of you have
is some
lost
sort of planned violence
heart goes
for
out.
Sunday.
I know that feeling looking at an empty chair across the table. All of you have fallen on hard times. I know you can never get back what you lost.
Hard times.
As your president, I know that every day
Now
matters.
it's warranted there
person matters.
if you're here.
From the very first to the nearly 400,000 lost American souls and counting, to the millions of you just looking for a fighting chance in this economy, I promise you, we will not forget you. We understand what you're going through.
I'm not high enough for
We will
this.
never, ever give up. And we will come back.
I didn't know if you were still lurking around.
We didn't get into all this overnight. We won't get out of it overnight. And we can't do it as a separated and divided nation. The only way we can do it is to come together as fellow Americans, as neighbors, as the United States of America. And when we do,
We ain't very
there's nothing
united,
beyond our
Joe.
capacity. I've said this many times. When America acts as one, there's never been a single thing we've been unable to do, no matter how consequential the issue has been. Out of all the peril of this moment, I want you to know, I give him a word, I see the promise as well. We've seen clearly what we face now. And I remain so optimistic about America. As optimistic as I've ever been. We have everything we need, but the will must be demonstrated. So come Wednesday, we begin a new chapter.
Well, he gets to be optimistic because, like, he ain't got much longer around here. Like,
For the country and the expectations we have for it. I'm confident. I am truly confident. Together, we can get this done and come out better off than when we went into this crisis. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops.
they yelling
Parliamentarian about bifurcation, sir.
questions at him.
Agenda and
Come on,
impeachment.
guys, travelers, leave alone. Travelers.
I would assume they knew it wasn't a press conference, that he was just coming out making a statement. His little set's pretty cool. So there you go. You made too much sense. Seriously, like, it was coherent. It was not rambling. It didn't keep returning to the same topic, which was, himself. That's something that happens quite often with our current president. More of what we've got to look forward to in the coming year as Joe Biden takes office. Less than a week. We will be streaming it live, noon Eastern, January the 20th, as Joe Biden is inaugurated. Okay, so you say that maybe they are Jesusing it up. My grandmother, who wasn't really all, like, she was religious, but, like, she got really Jesus-y, like, in her last years. Maybe that's just an old people thing. It could be political maneuvering. God bless our troops. Seems like an angle coming in here and using the wrestling terminology. Smoke him if you got him. Alright. So let's talk about the siege on the Capitol from last week and what we keep learning. The more that comes out about it, the more that's pointing to Republican Congresspeople actually helping the insurrectionists. And multiple Democratic lawmakers are calling for investigations. Let's see if we have comments from Mickey Sherrill.
We can't have a democracy if members of Congress are actively helping the president overturn the election results. And so not only do I intend to see that the president is removed and never runs for office again and doesn't have access to classified material, I also intend to see that those members of Congress who embedded him, those members of Congress who had groups coming through the Capitol that I saw on January 5th, a reconnaissance for the next day, those members of Congress that incited this violent crowd, those members of Congress that attempted to help our president undermine our democracy. I'm going to see that they're held accountable, and if necessary, ensure that they don't serve in Congress.
Okay, so what we've learned is that the panic buttons were removed. And then on January 5th, we don't have any confirmed names, but I've heard the rumored names and they make total sense. They led a tour around the Capitol when tours weren't allowed, showing the QAnon people, the insurrectionists, all the key areas. We're going to see some video later. Apparently, these videos show that the insurrectionists knew exactly where they were going to. They knew where Nancy Pelosi's secret office was. Also, we know that the police, the Capitol Police, 2 of them have been arrested. We'll talk about that here in just a second. This is Representative Maloney on MSNBC.
Which has never happened before, is so important.
That's what they have put metal detectors in the Capitol now. AOC has said that she feared for her life because she thinks someone that was in the room with her was giving away her position and was also armed. Actually, the White House tweeted yesterday, and we're going to watch that video here in just a little bit. Back to Rep. Maloney.
For the security of the inauguration and for our proceedings. And it's a sad reality that we find ourselves at a place where the enemy is within, and we cannot trust our own colleagues.
So
honestly, they have no clue. They're stupid. Dumbest fucks walking the planet.
Is it a member or a member staff who gave tours to insurrectionists the day before the riot on Wednesday?
Again, I don't have all the specifics on that. My understanding is there was a member showing people around. And that was the reason that when the person who relayed that story to me objected, the answer comes, well, they're with a member of Congress. So this issue, right, is that if a member of Congress wants to do it, traditionally, it has been assumed to be safe. That's why I sit on the House Intelligence Committee. No one does a background check of me. I've been elected by the people. I swear an oath to safeguard our nation's secrets. And for most of American history, we could rely on the fact that people would conduct themselves a certain way. But now we can't be sure a member of Congress won't bring a gun to the inauguration. We can't be sure that a member of this body wouldn't be bringing people around the night before who the next day may have been participating in the murder of a Capitol police officer. I can't believe I'm saying these things, but this is where we find ourselves, and we don't plan to be caught off guard again. So some of us are asking tough questions.
Those are some serious allegations he's making on national television.
We are caught short at the inauguration.
Can you tell us who the member is?
I'd rather not disclose it, but I'll be happy to send them your way.
Please do. And I guess
if you mean the member who was giving the tour, I want to make sure I know the facts. But I think you'll find that's going to be a real story.
I want to ask.
I bet it will.
What the process is for investigating. I mean, is the ethics committee the right place to investigate whether one of your colleagues, whether a member was giving a tour and perhaps showing maps and passageways to the insurrection?
That's another thing. The insurrectionists had maps of the tunnels under the Capitol.
acts of criminal behavior under federal sedition laws. Now, look, you've got a few steps in between there, right? I mean, it's one thing to
A man that had pipe bombs had the contact information for Ted Cruz's office in his car.
And obviously, we're not going to criminalize political disagreement. But if people are coordinating in real time with people who are behind organized efforts to
These people literally could be charged for treason.
Attack this building, to participate in the beatings and the murder of Capitol police officers, then the hell with the ethics committee. These people need to be charged criminally.
I want to ask you something.
He is correct. They definitely need to be thrown out of Congress immediately. I'm talking about Lauren Boebert. But hey, guys, this former Navy SEAL that participated in the riot say, hey, he's not a terrorist. Retired Navy SEAL on ABC News.
There was destruction breaching the Capitol, our building, our house. And to get in, you had to destroy doors and windows to get in. What did get destroyed, and they're obviously trying to overcome now, again, maybe they just didn't get the message. Unfortunately, I'm hoping the message was strong enough. Unfortunately, maybe it wasn't. I hate to see this escalate more.
He says he's not a terrorist, though, guys. Newbold confirmed that he had recorded his thoughts in the front seat of a vehicle on the night of the riot. He said that the FBI has interviewed him about his activities in the nation's capital, and that the Bureau has asked for a second interview. He says he's cooperating with the FBI. He said I would like to express to you just a cry for clemency. This guy that we just watched the video. I would like to express to you a cry for clemency as you understand that my life now has been absolutely turned upside down, Newbold told ABC News. I am not a terrorist. I am not a traitor. It accomplished nothing. What the hell was it all for? Newbold told ABC News.
As a conservative, it's getting harder and harder to not look like a kook.
All of them. Let's take a look at some. So, Parler is down right now, but it was just apparently it was just a really flimsy built WordPress site, and it was really easy to get all the information off of it. So everything is out there, including my expired license that I used to get my check mark. So we have some new videos from inside the Capitol. Luckily, we do have other news that we're going to talk about besides this stupid Capitol siege. We're finally past it. In some ways. Some short videos from inside the Capitol. Dude says he's not a terrorist, though. So these videos leaked from Parler. Exactly, he turned his own life upside down. See, so the videos that we're watching now are like really showing what really happened inside of the Capitol. I'm sorry about Siegfried. As I said, I thought he was already dead. I was not aware.
Alright guys, we are at the Capitol right now. We're gonna go back in. I'm the only one with a shield, so I don't know why. No one
Where did he take a shield from a cop?
They start shooting. So make sure if you ever take over the Capitol or any other big place, make sure you bring a shield. You can't get this anywhere except for the cops' hands. All right, guys, thanks for watching.
Ooh, this is all very incriminating. Everyone's taking pictures. Everyone's taking video. They're chanting about themselves. They're not terrorists, though. Smeared shit all over the walls. Smeared shit all over the walls. What the fuck are the cops doing? The story is that they were scared. They feared for their lives, and they were only trying to protect the Congress people and the senators. That was their. Oh, and this is. With these leaked videos now from Parler, this is our first shot at this, like, Roman guy here. Check him out. That is true. The cops are them. You are correct. But check this guy out. Is he not pimp as shit? Dressed up in his Roman garb, taking pictures in our nation's capital. This is wild, and that we have all this video of it for, like... They're gonna get a watch this shit in history class 100 years from now if we're, you know, still a planet, if climate change hasn't taken us out. If the whole system hasn't collapsed. And there are still schools. Watch videos of this shit in their classrooms. Leading an uprising against the country they're chanting. I feel like they're not the smartest.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
It just keeps going on and on and on.
We didn't pay for this!
And once again, as we talked about, all the electronics have to be thrown out. They compromised like a lot of security. The entire place has to be swept for bugs. They've got to take off every plate on every electrical outlet. Anything with a power cord. I'm still in shock that they were allowed to get away with this. For literally bugs. Of both the medical and the actual insect kind. Probably a lot of bed bugs. Lice infection. Oh yeah, this guy. This is a
Inside the Capitol building.
That's the QAnon shaman, but the other guy. We need to talk about this guy right here. Pictures of him have emerged in the last couple of days. He is the son of a New York State Supreme Court justice, apparently. I think I shared a meme of him out. See, they know where they're going. I can't believe that happened. I mean, I understand all the elements that came together in order to make it happen.
Hey, chill, stop, chill.
How were there not some sort of cops, troops, something in place around the Capitol? I do not understand it. But if we know that Congress people were taking them through the halls of Congress, did Trump know? Is that why there were no federal troops? Was it just chaos? Did he create chaos in the bureaucracy in order to pull it off? But there were the tour on the 5th, yes. The names I've seen thrown around: Boebert, Green, of course, Gohmert, Gates, Jim Jordan. Those were the people giving the tours. We've seen literal video of that. Anyone giving tours to people and showing them around the Capitol should absolutely be expelled from Congress and charged. They're not terrorists, though. We were invited here by Donald Trump.
On their brothers, man.
Seriously, they were doing reconnaissance. So far, 2 cops have been charged. But they say they did not participate in any violence. It was 2 Virginia police officers. They were off duty. A photo showing the 2 off-duty officers taking a selfie inside the Capitol building began to circulate on Facebook last Saturday night.
2 Rocky Mount police officers are being investigated after sharing a photo showing them inside the Capitol building.
Maggie Marshall spoke exclusively with one of the officers and has his response tonight.
Danner Sergeant Thomas Robertson says he's not able to interview with me on camera until the investigation is complete, but he maintains he and his fellow officer did nothing wrong. A rally in support of President Donald Trump turned deadly when thousands of attendees stormed the U.S. Capitol building. Nearly a week following the breach, the fallout
I was hoping we'd hear from the cop. These
okay.
2 motherfuckers.
They
They look like dickwads.
Capitol Police. He says they walked in through an open door with 2 Capitol Police who...
There you go.
...and asked us to stay in roped areas.
It wasn't even a metaphor. It literally happened.
For about 10 minutes. When I asked if he and the other police officer knew they shouldn't...
Now, unlike the FBI always does, they did not do a threat assessment ahead of the Capitol riot. Both the FBI and DHS confirmed to NPR that no such assessment was produced, outlining the potential for violence, even though the January 6th gatherings were expected to draw far-right participants, such as the Proud Boys, who were involved in violent clashes in Washington, D.C. weeks before. A spokesman told NPR that instead of a formal assessment, the agency opted instead for a more generalized report about the heightened threat environment during the 2020-2021 election season. Now remember, Trump came in and just like wiped everybody out. All the department heads. Like there's lackeys running all the different departments. This was his plan. This is why he did that. This is why he went on the firing purge right after the election. For this very reason. God, if they weren't the stupidest goddamn people in the world, they would have got away with it. Now, I wonder if the reason why they didn't do a threat assessment was because they thought Chuck Norris was going to be at the U.S. Capitol. And they just assumed that it was of no use to even do a threat assessment because they're like, if Chuck Norris is coming, like, what the fuck are we going to do about that? Chuck Norris's manager acknowledged that a man photographed at the riot looked somewhat like Norris, but says Chuck is much more handsome. Do we have the picture? Doesn't look like we do. I would have loved to have seen who they thought looked like Chuck Norris. We don't really have any more information. This is not Chuck Norris, Norris's manager, told the Associated Press. Chuck would be the president now if he had been there. He is a Trumper, though. And his beard would be VP. Now, who knows what's going to happen with impeachment in the Senate? Lisa Murkowski has blasted Trump has called the House impeachment appropriate. There's talk that she will even leave the party. So we are most likely looking at a yes vote from Republican Lisa Murkowski. You never know with those wily Republicans, though. Murkowski didn't say how she would vote in an upcoming Senate impeachment trial, pledging to listen carefully and consider the arguments. But she offered a broad rebuke of the president and signaled support for the House's bipartisan vote, which made Trump the first president to be impeached twice. I'm glad they got that in. And remember, they were already going to impeach him again. They were all before the riot on Wednesday. They were going to impeach him over fucking trying to threaten the Secretary of State in Georgia. Like, what a wild couple of weeks this has been. Now, this next little tidbit is only a rumor, so take it with a grain of salt. I couldn't find any other evidence to back it up other than this tweet from just some rando on Twitter. They are citing MSNBC, but they say Republican Senate staffers are telling their bosses that if they don't vote to convict Trump, that they will resign en masse. Because they were also the ones barricaded in offices, hiding under desks and fearing for their lives for hours on end. It makes sense. And as I said multiple times the other night, I think the impeachment in the Senate is going to be a chance. One, for them just to get rid of Trump. They never have to talk about him again in politics if the Senate votes to convict him. I think McConnell will do it to get it over with. Go ahead, just cut him out. If not, he's going to be a pain in their asses for the next 4 years at least. Unless he dies of COVID or something. Because he'll probably catch COVID again anytime now. How long do the antibodies last? Like 3 months or some shit? 3 to 6 months or something. I'm calling it. Trump gets COVID again 2021. And if he's impeached, he ain't gonna be able to go to fucking Bethesda. Walter Reed Hospital. 90 days. It's been about 90 days, hasn't it? That was back in October. It's time for Trump to get COVID again. Let's try to figure out and dissect exactly what is going through the mind of this madman. This is from the official White House Twitter account. This is the only way he could get access to Twitter. Apparently he had to be talked out of going to Gab, the Nazi platform, by advisors. That he really wanted to do that. He's tried to use multiple other Twitter accounts. He tried to use the presidential Twitter account. This guy's insane.
I want to speak to you tonight about the troubling events of the past week. As I have said, the incursion of the U.S. Capitol struck at the very heart of our republic. It angered and appalled millions of Americans across the political spectrum. I want to be very clear. I unequivocally condemn the violence that we saw last week. Violence and vandalism have absolutely no place in our country and no place in our movement. Making America great again has always been about defending the rule of law, supporting the men and women of law enforcement, and upholding our nation's most sacred traditions and values. Mob violence goes against everything I believe in and everything our movement stands for. No true supporter of mine could ever endorse political violence. No true supporter of mine could ever disrespect law enforcement or our great American flag. No true supporter of mine could ever threaten or harass their fellow Americans. If you do any of these things, you are not supporting our movement, you are attacking it, and you are attacking our country. We cannot tolerate it. Tragically, over the course of the past year, made so difficult because of COVID-19, we have seen political violence spiral out of control. We have seen too many riots, too many mobs, too many acts of intimidation and destruction.
Because of you.
Whether you are on the right or on the left, a Democrat or a Republican, there is never a justification for violence. No excuses, no exceptions. America is a nation of laws. Those who engaged in the attacks last week will be brought to justice.
So you do like violence. You like state violence, state-sponsored violence, like war, the police state, shit like that.
Ease tensions, calm tempers, and help to promote peace in our country. There has been reporting that additional demonstrations are being planned.
Oh shit, I'm tangled in my headphones.
Both here in Washington and across the country. I have been briefed by the U.S. Secret Service on the potential threats. Every American deserves to have their voice heard in a respectful and peaceful way. That is your First Amendment right.
And he needs to be impeached because he doesn't need to be getting
that there must be no
intelligence reports. He doesn't need to be
and no vandalism
getting personal security on our
Everyone
dime.
must follow our laws and obey the instructions of law enforcement. I have directed federal agencies to use all necessary resources to maintain order. In Washington, D.C., we are bringing in thousands of National Guard members.
The pictures of the guard sleeping in the Capitol are just surreal.
Without incident. Like all of you, I was shocked and deeply saddened by the calamity at the Capitol last week. I want to thank the
I totally smell. I smell weed coming from me. I smell bullshit coming from him.
Moment with calm, moderation, and grace. We will get through this challenge just like we always do. I also want to say a few words about the unprecedented assault on free speech we have seen in recent days.
Well, he spent most of the video talking about
and difficult times.
The violence, so I'll give him that.
Blacklist
I was wrong.
Citizens are wrong, and they are dangerous. What is needed now is for us to listen to one another, not to silence one another. All of us can choose
Honestly.
our actions to rise above the rancor.
Absolute surreal sight.
Shared purpose.
I wonder how far out their perimeter will be.
Of the whole nation, delivering the miracle vaccines, defeating the pandemic, rebuilding the economy.
And will the same thing happen all over again? Is there something going on in the inside?
Today I am calling on all Americans to overcome the passions of the moment and join together as one American people.
That's why he did this on his best behavior.
To move forward united.
He wants that Twitter back.
For our families, our communities, and our country. Thank you. God bless.
He's hooked to it.
And God bless America.
But honestly, let them do something. They need to be met with force, and they'll never do it again because it's just a bunch of yuppies. Now, one of the more hilarious stories that has come out about Trump is that he is refusing to pay Rudy Giuliani. Trump tells aides not to pay Giuliani's legal fees. Trump has reportedly instructed his aides to cease payments to his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani. The Washington Post reported Thursday that Giuliani's expenses are now being personally approved by Trump as the former's efforts to file legal challenges in states around the country on behalf of the president appear to be winding down. Giuliani did not immediately respond to a request for comment from the Hill. Senator Lindsey Graham, a close ally of the president, who has spoken with Trump in recent days, told the Post that Trump has come to terms with his election defeat. He doesn't pay anyone, exactly. We all saw this coming. I predicted he wasn't going to leave office fucking 4 years ago. Almost 4 years ago to the day I was saying this shit. Now, I saw one of my right-wing friends share out this video, and he was all upset. Dinesh D'Souza published this on Rumble. CNN says that if you voted for Trump, you're with the Klan, and
if they say, I don't...
They're kind of right.
Now what you hear is, well, you can't say that everybody who voted for Trump is like the people who went into the Capitol. Response.
You can't say that. What? Everybody's like
everybody who voted.
They're on the same side.
No, I just explained to you. If
they use each other
on that side, you need to think about the side you're on. I'm never on the side of the Klan. I am principal people, conservative or liberal, never on the Klan side. Principal people, conservative or liberal, never on the Nazi side. Principal people who are conservative or liberal, never on the side that treats their fellow Americans
something
as
like
less
12
that says that
neo-Nazis, white supremacists ran for office as Republicans
your fellow Americans
in the 2018 midterm,
or that sides with slavery, or sides with any sort of bigotry.
Right, and if they say, I don't agree with those people, I just like Trump's policy.
Well, then get out of the crowd with him.
What are Trump's policies besides that?
In the crowd who voted for
this
Trump.
Is what a Trump supporter told me just the other day.
Who the Klan supported.
That my parents should have been put in a gas chamber for having me.
You voted for
real. Fuck both of them for having an abomination like you.
That's the crowd that you are in. You voted.
That's the crowd that you were in.
Who incited a crowd?
The guy that posted this video complaining about being compared to the Klan. That was his thread that somebody said that to me, that my parents should have been put in a gas chamber. If you don't want the comparison made about you, stop living up to it constantly.
To the Capitol and potentially take the lives of lawmakers, took the lives of police officers.
I love, there's a meme that says,
who were there.
Isn't it just a coincidence that
voted on that?
Everybody at the rally had people in their lives that were ready to willingly turn them in. It's not a coincidence. We're tired of right-wing bullshit. Jim Acosta from CNN has been posted. More stuff appears to be an Abe Lincoln bust leaving the West Wing this afternoon, implying that things are being stolen from the White House. White House advisor Peter Navarro leaves the West Wing of the White House with a photograph of Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping. That's a really cool photograph, too. Check out the composition on that. So Jim Acosta implying that things are being stolen from the White House. All this that we have went through, and still James Comey has the audacity to go on TV and say that he thinks that Joe Biden should pardon Donald Trump.
Trump, as Ford did Nixon.
I don't know. He should consider it. Now, I don't know whether Donald Trump, he's not a genius, but he might figure out that if he accepts a pardon.
I heard about Baked Alaska.
The United States Supreme Court has said. So
That's hilarious.
Accept a pardon, but as part of healing the country and getting us to a place where we can focus on things that are going to matter over the next 4 years, I think Joe Biden's going to have to at least think about that.
We got to impeach the motherfucker to get over all this.
You know, Allison, I think I understand that argument, and I think that before January 6th, it was a pretty close call. I would completely have understood in those days before the attack on the Capitol that the new president might want to move on from this incredibly challenged period that we've been living.
Moving on and not holding people accountable is what has got us into this position.
You have a president who provoked and directed and incited an assault on his own government, on the process of democracy itself. I don't think you can look away from that. As much as you might want to move on to political healing, this is an offense against this nation that has to be.
Well, at least McCabe has a good head on his shoulders.
So I really believe that we should continue moving forward in that direction.
From the former FBI director to the deputy FBI director, who became the acting FBI director. It's all a mess because everything became a mess under Trump. Okay. Middle Tennessee pastor says he was censored on social media following Capitol riots. Pastor Greg Locke, perhaps you've heard of him. He's made the national news several times. Let's hear what he had to say, since he's so censored on social media that I can just
messages on Facebook. The president,
since I can just pull up what he's saying on social media, since he's so censored on social media. That's what I posted on fucking Facebook the other day. Apparently, right-wingers are censored or something because they're fucking saying it literally everywhere, constantly. So let's hear what you have to say. Since everybody's censoring you, let me let you have a platform on my show so we can hear what profound fucking shit you have to say. Pastor Greg Locke, enlighten us.
to see this. Send this to 15 of your friends. He's going to be on Newsmax tonight at 8:15. He's going to set everything right. And then Palmer goes down. Then Twitter says something else. General Michael Flynn said this. Jenna Ellis said this. But Lynn Wood said this. And here's what Facebook said. But now we can't get on Facebook because, you know, they've taken down our platform. Yada, 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 schmata. It can be demoralizing and it can be absolutely frustrating. That's why the Bible says, be still and know that I am God. I will be, that's affirmative, I will be exalted among the heathen. So I'm going to tell you something. I've been just as guilty as the next person, scouring YouTube for every video I could find. Look, I've got a lot of high-ranking individuals that I consider friends, but I stopped even asking them at this point.
As a conservative, it's getting harder and harder to not look like a kook.
Thank you, Rush. Go on, Pastor Locke.
Everybody has a different story. But let me tell you what story doesn't change. The story of the Bible. The Egyptians had boxed in the Israelites. Behind them,
the story of the Bible did change. Like, they added a whole other book to it. There's an Old and New Testament.
Was being drugged back to the bondage and slavery of Egypt.
Being pedantic.
The Red Sea. A daunting, insurmountable situation. And when there was no way, God made a way. He parted the waters of the Red Sea and they walked through on dry ground, but he did it last minute. Look, folks, I'm telling you, America's in a mess.
Oh, fucking God is still going to make Trump president.
This past weekend at our church at Global Vision, under the tent, we're living in difficult days, dangerous days. days in which we don't know what to believe, we don't know where to go, but there's a constant, and the constant is Jesus Christ.
Well, this is both.
The local church is still the pillar and ground of the truth. The Bible is still the Word of God. We can still be infused.
I'm sorry.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
I call it Crazy Eye Rudy. You still want me to add the fart to the Rudy. I made the graphic before he farted in the courtroom that time. Pooty Rudy.
With the power of the Holy Spirit. Stop fretting. Stop worrying. For the next week or so, what we have to do is be still and let God move.
He really does think that he can like pray Joe Biden out of office.
He's got to resurrect the dead. Nobody else in the whole narrative got to say Lazarus come forth. Just Jesus. They only got to roll away the stone, stand there with their hands in their pocket, kicking rocks, and watch what God was about to do. So we're at a place now where we put our hands in our pockets and we wait.
I got one hand in my pocket. Oh.
We're praying. We're seeking wisdom. If any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God.
I'm going to try not to
James
sing,
1:5
guys.
says, we need wisdom.
I'm
we
not
need
a good
discernment.
singer.
We need discretion. But I'll tell you what we need. We need to be baptized, my friend, in boldness. We need to be covered from head to toe in boldness. No time to be cowards.
Hallelujah.
We got to stand up for our rights. We got to push back on what we believe, what we know to be true and right and biblical. And in this case, American.
This guy is just a nut job, and he's trying to make a place in the right-wing
Don't you dare let them
echelon of figureheads.
By calling you a bunch of names that shame you and humiliate you, and then you roll up and stop. Oh no, it's not time to zip the lips.
I'll call you some names that humiliate you.
For the next week or so,
right-wingers are fucking morons.
wait on God. Keep standing your ground. Don't let them push you back. Don't let them win the tug of war. But stop all this, send that, and read.
Honestly.
Stay up all night watching this and freaking out, and one day he's going to win, and one day he's going to lose.
This motherfucker claiming he's been censored when he has a literal pulpit.
And patiently wait on God, because here's what the Bible says.
Just like Marjorie Taylor Greene with her mask that said censored.
But in everything,
as she's on national fucking TV,
I'm going to give God
speaking on the floor of the people's house.
Waters of the Red Sea. And then he says, and the peace of God that passes all understanding shall keep your hearts and minds through Christ Jesus. So quit beating yourself up because you don't have all the answers, because you don't have all the knowledge. Look.
Tell him. Tell him, Pastor Locke. I can't take any more of not censoring him. I wish somebody would fucking censor these people. Queens Proud Boy wannabe arrested for allegedly stockpiling guns for another Capitol attack. It's gonna happen. Please come back, watch it here. The inauguration, Wednesday, noon Eastern time. Fuckery is probably going to abound. I'll have multiple sources up, just like with the cap. I had the House and the Senate on a split screen, and then I had the rioters on another screen. There will more than likely be some sort of violence on Inauguration Day, because like Pastor Greg Locke is convinced that God is going to do something in this next week to prevent Joe Biden from taking office. That's how fucking insane these people are. Got a bunch of guys all armed and ready to deploy. We are just waiting for the word. He allegedly posted on Parler. Parler getting people popped. This is the picture of the scene. He doesn't look like the kind of guy that you would think would be trying to storm anything. Had aspirations of joining the far-right group, the Proud Boys, charged with weapons offense Wednesday after his Tuesday arrest by the FBI turned up a stockpile of ammunition and deadly weapons. Edward Flore Where was this guy at? I'm not exactly sure. I'm trying to find. He's been convicted in New York State. Looks like he was still living in New York at the time. Moving on to another criminal. Kyle Rittenhouse, criminal with a Proud Boy twist. Kyle Rittenhouse got a Proud Boys serenade at a bar while out on bail, and I don't really. There are pictures of him drinking a beer, which I thought was odd. Come to find out, in Wisconsin, minors can drink if they're accompanied by an adult. Crazy, or their parents or some shit. Rittenhouse went to a pub approximately 90 minutes after he pleaded not guilty to charges, including first-degree intentional homicide. While there, he was loudly serenaded with what prosecutors described as an anthem for the Proud Boys, according to a motion filed yesterday by the Kenosha County District Attorney's Office. I love both these articles have been Vice, and all of them keep having to mention Gavin McInnes because of his affiliation with the Proud Boys and the fact that he was the co-founder of Vice years ago. I found Vice 2010, 2011, 2012, somewhere in there. I don't even think he was there at that time. He was in the very early days. Yeah, left the company in 2008. Their anthem is a song from I had no clue. I did not know that. Yeah, he went and had a drink with his mom. What and whose mom has her kid out on bail and takes him to, but then again, I can understand wanting to drink with him, letting him drink if he's going to be locked up. Okay, here, have a little fun while you're out. I can totally understand that, but don't you go get him a case of beer? You don't take him to a bar? That's really bad PR. Oh, he did the white power. So yeah. Wearing a shirt that says free as fuck. This piece didn't have the... There's a picture of him holding a beer with his mom. So this next one is not for the faint at heart. Unfortunately, we got to talk about a couple of... Oh, I couldn't play it because of copyright. Do tell us what the song is, though. But this is Video at a Phoenix. Apparently a man pretended to have a gun.
What's behind your back, dude? You have a gun? Don't do that.
Ooh,
Don't do that, bro.
no. Ooh, this is not good.
He's saying he's got a gun.
Now, I'm always highly critical of the cops, but this is something like this is really putting them in a bad situation.
do that, bro. Jordan, don't do this. Jordan, don't do this. Jordan, don't do this. Jordan, show us your hands right now, brother. Show me your hands right now, brother.
He may have been wanting to commit suicide by cop.
I don't want him going into that street.
This is sad.
Jordan, we don't want to kill you, dude.
It's all just a part of my dream.
Stop right there. Jordan, stop it right now, brother. Stop.
Okay, who's gonna kill someone tonight?
Stop.
You decide.
Stop.
You decide. You decide.
Jordan.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Bryce, stand back.
Jordan.
Oh, damn.
Let's check his 90s.
Roll him over, roll him over. Check his 90. There we go. I don't see any guns. I don't have anything yet.
He's breathing.
He's breathing.
Start tourniquets, first aid. Let's go.
Oh, that was wild. I mean, that's a tough one. Because that dude was acting really erratic. I don't like... I want to be like all bitching about the cops ACAB, but like I don't know in that situation. That's hard. I feel really sorry for that dude. I don't know. He clearly needed help. We need a better healthcare system. Yeah, did every fucking single one of them need to fire? Did they need to empty their clips? I was not aware of that. I do a news show. Also, like, I'm on a gazillion different platforms. I'm sure there's some sort of exception for news content or something. We do not have video of a 91-year-old woman getting shot after she opened the door holding a shotgun. We do have a picture of her. I mean, it's not like I'm going to stop, man. I'm everywhere. Family neighbors seek answers after deputy shoot killed 91-year-old woman. Apparently she was legally blind. So maybe she didn't know who was outside. That's a shame. Oh, fuck. Both of these stories, huge bummers. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department responded to a call of a possible home intruder in the Spring Valley Lake community of Victorville at 9 a.m. The door was opened by 91-year-old Betty Frenzoy, who lived alone in the house with her dogs and a cat. Oh. Deputies say she was holding a shotgun, which they asked her to drop. When she did not, and deputies felt in fear of their lives, they shot her. Ah, goddamn! Release the body cam video. Neighbors say she never fired her gun, but deputies fired several times, just like we witnessed. I'm sure they emptied whole clips into her. She was pronounced dead at the hospital. Her family neighbors are as confused as they are angry. She was legally blind and wore a hearing aid. She probably did not know who was outside. I would love to see the body cam footage of that. That sounds like a situation where I may actually be able to bitch about the behavior of the police. All right, time to inject some levity into the show. The Lincoln Project has put together Mike Pence's first ad in his run for president come 2024. I haven't watched it yet. Let's check it out.
A triumphant leader has emerged to take the MAGA movement into the future. Mike Pence. Courage is in short supply in Washington these days. While the divisiveness in this country has reached violent and frightening proportions, Mike Pence has proven that sometimes doing nothing is the most courageous act of all. And no one has done nothing more than Mike Pence hasn't. Other Republicans abandoned the president, while yet more continued to support him. But Mike Pence, using his decades of experience, knew that the best thing to do was nothing at all. It may look to the untrained eye as though Mike Pence is complicit in everything that's happened, but the truth is he's never liked Donald Trump. In fact, he's totally giving Trump the silent treatment.
Now that I believe. I believe that he doesn't like Trump.
At a lunch meeting. That's the kind of resilient inaction America is in dire need of during these uncertain times. Mike Pence for president.
Now, once again, hate the Lincoln Project with a burning passion. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to ingratiate themselves, just like this little fundraiser right there. Trump said, fuck, you can be a patriot or you can be a pussy. That's what he said to Mike Pence before. Thank you for reminding me of that. I had not said that on the show. If you guys hadn't heard that one. Before the Electoral College certification last Wednesday, Trump told Mike Pence that he could be a patriot or he could be a pussy. Oh, God. You guys are going to love this next story. Maybe you won't. Maybe it'll hit you hard because, like, it's a couple and they're breaking up. I guess it depends on your feelings about the couple. It appears that Kellyanne Conway has been left high and dry by George Conway. Dude, he didn't actually give us any kind of a plan. $1,400. That was pretty much the only concrete thing he said. It was all platitudes. He did release something to the press. Build back better. You fucking finally. How's he put up with her shit for this long? Kellyanne Conway's daughter says dad left family. Will sell her dad's shit on eBay. Claudia Conway dropped a major bombshell over the weekend when she announced on TikTok that her father George had walked out on the family for good. My dad dipping this morning saying he wants nothing to do with our family and leaving for good. Hold on, do we have the video? Oh, so it wasn't actually her saying it. It's in text form. Haven't seen George for a while. Yeah, me neither. Maybe it was like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm definitely not one to talk about relationships either. In a follow-up TikTok video posted on Tuesday, Conway said she plans to sell all of her father's belongings to the highest bidder on eBay. Oh, she's going to get me a copyright claim. In another recent video, Kellyanne became the laughingstock of social media when her daughter decided to troll her mother by dancing to a Donald Trump diss track on the social media platform.
Well, Joe...
She's gonna be like a Kardashian or some shit, isn't she? We're going to have to put up... I think Conway is involved with the Lincoln Project. We're gonna have to put up with Claudia Conway. She's gonna have some sort of reality show or something in a few years. And I'm not looking forward to it. I already hate it. Nah, I'm sure she's alright. Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner barred the Secret Service from using their restrooms. The couple has 6.5 bathrooms but sent their Secret Service detail to Mike Pence's and Barack Obama's homes nearby. Wow. Secret Service agents were forced to use a $3,000 per month rental toilet after the couple barred them from using any of the 6 bathrooms in their home. Strictly forbidden from using any of the toilets. They rented a porta potty. Agents finally found a permanent restroom when the government spent $3,000 a month to rent out a basement studio from one of Jared and Ivanka's neighbors. The government has spent $100,000 just to rent out that bathroom for Secret Service. Because they're a dick and won't let their fucking security detail use the fucking bathroom in their... Oh my God, I hate these people. A White House spokesperson denied that Trump and Kushner restricted agents from their 5,000 square foot home with its 6 bathrooms. With its 6 bedrooms and 6.5 bathrooms. And it asserted that it was the Secret Service's decision not to allow the protective detail inside. That account is disputed by a law enforcement official familiar with the situation. I hadn't even thought about that angle. You can't tell me he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would enjoy a good cuck. Also, in Ivanka news, she will reportedly not attend Biden's inauguration. Vanity Fair reports after maybe not being invited in the first place. I would think Biden, especially being the institutionalist that he is, would have wanted Trump and the family to be there at the inauguration. That's just me guessing, but then again, like, better if they're not. Don't get their stink on everything. They can't do anything to try to upstage the situation. I was not aware of the wouldn't let military men around him or around her. Any man that won't let people around his woman all in quotations, is a giant twat. That possessive bullshit has no place anywhere near a relationship. Wow. Fuck that douche nozzle. Alright, let's end on a high note. I have seen Jared. Oh my god. The epitome of an alpha male. What are you talking about? He's a hunk. Biden's German Shepherd to be celebrated with inauguration hosted by Animal Shelter. This warms my black heart. President-elect Joe Biden is set to restore a bipartisan norm upon moving into the White House. Presidential dogs. The Bidens have 2 German Shepherds, Champ and Major. He will be the first dog to go from a shelter to the White House. That shelter, the Delaware Humane Association, plans to inaugurate Major on Sunday in a virtual ceremony. I love it. I will totally have footage of that come Monday on the Troll Patrol. In early 2018, the shelter received a litter of 6 German Shepherd puppies. Yeah. I'm stoned and I have cotton mouth. Including the future first dog. They were very sick, apparently. Joe Biden dropped in on Easter Sunday and met the puppies. Major became a foster. Okay, so I didn't think this story had any footage. So I wanted to get some footage. I wanted us to be able to meet Major. I like all of my animals are rescues or animals that would have been taken to the shelter. Stray somebody found. I want to take care of, and like, so if I do eventually move and have a yard, I want to get a dog, and I would like to go to the animal shelter and get an older dog, one that doesn't have as much of a find an ugly one that's got some kind of issue, so that like I can make sure it has a good life. That's what, and that's. I'm getting all teary-eyed over the animals. I love any type of doggo. German Shepherds, like they're so smart, and they're usually so loving. Oh. I usually do end the show on an animal story. Still a low bar. It's still Joe Biden. Like, it's just in comparison, he seems amazing. We gotta be hard on his ass. We gotta ride him on policy. Because, like, already he's fucking up. Coming out, like, $1,400 checks after he promised $2,000. And when he said $2,000, like, they had already delivered the $600 to some people. I haven't got my $600. But he said $2,000 checks. So to walk that back to $1,400 for no reason. There's no reason to walk that back. That's already a step in the wrong direction for Democrats on messaging everything. I did not know that about black dogs and cats. Oh, I have a tuxedo cat. And I love my tuxedo. He was one of the absolute most loving cats that I've ever had. My gray cat is also amazing. Alright, guys. That's going to do it for me. If you're watching on Twitch, I'm going to send you guys over to Pinko the Bear. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to make a little, to make up. I'm sorry, I was reading your comment. 1,400. I understand the difference, but the messaging is bad for Democrats because the Republicans have already latched onto it and have said that he lied, and they're already running with that. So it's bad optics off the bat, and he didn't have to do that. All right, go ahead. Light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin FREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol. Live.